everybody. Welcome to Neon Shadows,
So
hosted
did
by the
did
fantastic
Grim
Nerfless
leave
Dice. I have
the call
TR
or
Grimm, part of Lost Guide Games. We are the studio that created Neon Shadows, and I am so excited to be here with this table full of lovely people to be able to tell you this fantastic and little chaotic story that we have going on. Go ahead and we're going to start to the play table, which is this screen you see in the center, immediately to my left, for just a quick little personal introduction before I go into the game itself. So, Skylar, you're muted.
I think you're muted, Skylar?
Looking out. Thank you. Hi, I'm Skylar. I use he, they pronouns. I'm an illustrator and a tabletop game designer, and you can find me on Twitter at HRT_beats.
Aaron,
Hi, I'm Erin. I use she, her pronouns. And you can. I'm a tabletop game designer, writer, layout designer, and you can find me basically everywhere as Vale's Edge Games.
Porna,
Is it my turn? Or
Porna,
and I guess I'll go with it.
are you
Uh,
muted?
Hi, my name is Ivan. I am a newcomer in the actual play TTRPG space. This is my first time participating in one of these.
Porna, do you want to do an introduction real
Aside
quick?
from that, I'm also a illustrator. Uh, you can find me at Elisonil Arts in on Instagram and Twitter.
There we are.
And yeah, very excited
Porna, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
to participate today.
Um, yes. Hi, I'm Burna. You can find me on most social media as at Burna Mazumdar. I am a TTRPG writer, editor, and voice actor. I am excited about a bunch of things that are going on at the moment. For example, I'm going to be part of Far Horizons Guide to Death, anthology of death games, and Revenant Society, as well as Guns Blazing. So I'm excited about those things.
And lastly, Ivan. Ivan,
Looks like we lost Ivan. There we go.
I think we might have lost Ivan.
Ivan is back. It looks like.
Yeah, sorry, it's just that I'm not seeing
Ivan, do we
Grim
have
on
you
my
back?
screen. I'm not sure why. Can't see him or
This was happening to me too. Just refresh and mention this in the chat. Uh, it might help
yeah,
do
I just
something.
refreshed. So
Just Grim, can you see here, Ivan?
yes. I'm starting to see him. There
I
we
can
go.
see Ivan's screen popping back on. I can't see them yet.
Yes.
Okay. This was happening to me too for a
There we
second. Like
go. Hi, Ivan.
couldn't
Hi.
I
Sorry,
couldn't
I
hear or
couldn't
see
see
you.
you, Grim. So
Yeah, I couldn't see or hear you for like the first several, like, so, which is why I think you may have asked me to introduce myself once or twice, and then I just it didn't. There was no way for me to know.
All right, let me try that again. So, nope, all good, all good. Ivan, you go ahead and give a quick personal introduction before we get started with everything.
Oh, I think I already gave it. It didn't show up.
Uh, Let me see what's going on my end. I wonder if I
Um,
might be the problem. Give me just
yeah,
one
I'm
second.
pretty sure I did my introduction. So
Yeah, I heard Ivan do the
You
introduction.
probably okay? I did not, so I might be the problem. So give me just one second while I refresh on my end.
we're off to a good start.
Okay, there we go. I think that the issue might have been the screen share being too much of a draw for for my poor little internet connection. So we might have to go, unfortunately, without being able to show the table, unless someone else wants to try sharing their screen for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would try, but I'm also scared that it's gonna do the same thing to me. So
It's entirely understandable. All right, let me go ahead and I think that we are now good. All right, with the personal introductions out of the way, let's go ahead and enter the world of Neon Shadows. No one remembers who really won the war, if anyone won it. There was a declaration of war, a war that lasted longer than anyone thought it should, and a treaty that followed. Sure, there was a declared winner, but were they winner or did they just end it? What everyone does remember the most are the cities and technologies formed in its wake. Ether. No one knows who discovered it or who first used it as a weapon, but its powers, once released, changed the world. The Great War between the factions only ended 15, 20 years ago. In its bellies, some fought for power, some fought to keep power, and few honestly thought they were fighting to make the world a better place, and many simply fought for their lives. It started as a war between two large nations, the Empire and the Kingdom. Both had different ways of fighting the war. The Kingdom hit hard and swiftly, while the Empire was able to wait them out. That's when the oligarchy and the coalition rose up. The people in the kingdom began starving. Uprisings began, and people formed their own faction. The military, those who wanted to hit the kingdom as hard as they had hit the empire, saw them as weak. They broke off, forming their own faction, and some of them even defecting to the kingdom. That's when the creation of Aether Tech spread. Some say the empire started it, some say the coalition discovered it. The truth is somewhere buried in the rubble of the war. Whoever discovered it, it had spread to all sides of the war. The kingdom used it for large and explosive weapons, the empire for stealth and enhancements. The oligarchy used it for their guns and firepower, and the coalition for guerrilla tactics. The use of it changed the landscape, making most parts harsh and uninhabitable. That's when the theocracy rose, and with it the teachings of Solaria. People defected from all sides, joining the movement of peace to heal the land. Treaties were signed, and a place isolated from the destroyed landscape was found in the valley of the mountains. That's when the walls went up. As the Great War smoldered into oblivion, the rising wall separated the people, brokered the factions, and lessened the powers of the old world, only leaving the city in its aftermath. They said the walls were to keep everyone safe, that no army could ever breach them, that everyone inside of them would be able to find success that they dreamed of and fought for. That those who fought for every side would be treated fairly and with the dignity they deserved, no matter the faction. All soldiers would be healed and made whole, and the fools of the world, crushed by war and worn by death and loss, believed them. And it all started off as a way to help heal the land, let it come back to a livable state, and then expand back out with the treaty in place. But humans are flawed, and not all of them have good intentions. This is the city in the valley. This is where our game takes place. This is a world that we built as a party, as a table. We all had says in it. We all had, I think, a pretty fun evening putting it all together, if I'm being honest. Um, One of the big things for Neon Shadows is it's an entirely collaborative game. Um, I am more elite player in this than I am a game master. Everyone here has the ability to control NPCs. Everyone here has the ability to change the narrative, as long as they have the cards to back it up. So, let's go ahead, Skylar. Introduce us to Melly.
Absolutely. So, Melly, should we go over our playbooks?
Sure, go ahead and introduce yourself by your playbook,
Absolutely.
and then work your way down.
So I am playing the Type 1 playbook, which is the Principled Reformer. And Melly is Melly is a trust fund baby from the Sun Courts, who is here to do some activism that they feel very passionate about, but maybe might not be grounded on a solid foundation of understanding the world. Um, and I imagine them being like kind of tall, like probably 5'11", like a little bit muscular, like a little bob. Um, they have, let's see, they have a battle jacket with like a bunch of patches. They have big muddy combat boots, wrapped hands. You know, they're really living that punk lifestyle. Um, but let's see. They desire to change kids. Sorry if you can hear my cats. They desire to change the world fundamentally. And the change that they're bringing is dangerous justice. This is somebody who is kind of filled with the spirit of revolution, but maybe not the sense to manage it. And they struggle with morally gray areas. Sorry, should I keep
Right.
going?
Aaron.
Yeah.
Good.
No, so yeah, no, yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead and introduce us to Mox.
Okay. So Mox is uh, had a little bit of a different path than Melly. She is also a technically an heiress, but not a word that she would ever use. And she is a runaway from the Sun Courts. And she escaped and ran away from that life. She hopped trains uh, down to the river, down to just various other parts of town. She's been a lot of places. Um, oh, and the playbook I am using is The Enthusiastic Optimist. And it's because she is always trying to experience novel and intense things. She's always looking for something new. Um, she has a short jacket um, that it's a nicer jacket, but that is very battered. It's the one she left home with. And she has just is always um, looking for something new, always trying to find the next fun thing.
Porna,
All right.
tell us about Jade.
Okay, so I'm playing Jade. Her pronouns are she, her. I'm playing the playbook for Type 5, the investigator, and Jade has um, sort of black blue hair that's short around her ears and sort of gleams in a way that looks unhealthy, like if you're looking at uh, rainwater on the floor that has oil in it. Um, she always has ink stained hands and uh, clothes. Her clothes are kind of like sort of shades of blue and gray, and you like different light. You can't necessarily tell what color the clothes are because they're sort of all at one umbrella term, clothes you would wear to work on stuff where you didn't really care about the clothes. She is from Forager's Alley, and uh, what she desires more than anything else is knowledge. Um, and it is everywhere, and it is so distracting. Um, yeah, that's Jade.
Perfect. Ivan,
Yes. Uh,
go ahead and do.
yes. I am playing the Type 2 playbook, the Nurturing Supporter. And my character's name is Denise, pronouns she, they. She desires to be loved, and the love that she has is empathetic and consuming, and she struggles with rejection, real or perceived. She is basically a street nurse from the Moonlights. She mostly helps out with accidents that happen uh, in the refineries. She has a very caregiving heart. She pretty much tries to help anyone that she comes across with. Uh, and she, as for her looks, she has like pretty short, curly black hair, has big glasses, kind of like mine. Uh, and her clothes are very practical. She doesn't really care about fashion or looks a lot. She just always wearing pants, like always wearing the most practical thing. And she always has a bag with her full of supplies and medical kits, and just ready to help everybody.
Perfect. And I am playing William Gold. I am playing a Type 8, which is the Passionate Protector. Uh, my desire is to lead. The way that I lead is both protective and demanding, and I struggle with backing down when challenged. William has very broad shoulders that can carry the weight of the world if he needs them to. He has a little bit of a gut to go with it. He is a man that survived the war, and in his prime, you can tell that he was a very trim, strong individual. But he has a little bit of a gut on him now. He looks like he's probably around 40-ish years old. Um, and he looks like he's lived a hard life down in the Rust Rivers. He the big one of the big things about him is he has just this force of will and this charisma wherever he enters the room. Part of that is just his very long armored coat, which can't really close around his belly anymore. You can tell that it fits around the shoulders, but it can't quite make it cinch in the middle. But it is still a strong and it is a good coat. Skylar, what is something about Melly that tells a story? What is it and what's the story?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I think that Melly has like some extraneous piercings around here, a lot of them. And I think from one of them, they have their mother's aether pendant hanging. Um, I think it's obviously like a very like finely metal worked and set like crystal situation that's a lot fancier than everything else they have on them, so it's kind of a little hint as to their real origin maybe.
All right. Aaron, what's something that tells a story?
Mox has uh, in her jacket pocket, one of the ones that buttons. She has a lucky ticket that is the first Aether train ticket that she got to get out of the sun courts. She didn't take a whole lot of trains legally on her trips, but you kind of have to on the sun courts. They have a lot more guards checking for uh, turnstile jumpers or the fantasy cyberpunky equivalent of that.
There's
And
all turnstile jumpers.
and yeah, so that was sort of her reminder of when she left home for the first time and got out of the sun courts.
Horna, what tells a story about Jade?
Jade has a small black notebook that she carries everywhere, and if you look closely, um, she has emblazoned her initials on the bottom right hand corner of the cover. Um, if it ever falls open in your presence, you will notice that there are anxious little scribbles everywhere. No particular direction of like, this is how you should be writing in a notebook. If the notebook is opened, maybe there's a list that's 45-degree angle here. Maybe there is a little thought that is goes all the way across the page. It is sort of a scrapbook without anyone ever having to stick anything into it kind of notebook.
Perfect. Ivan, what's something about Denise that tells a story?
Denise has a locket, a heart shaped locket that is seems to be made of gold. Definitely one of the most fancy things that she has. And inside of the locket, there is a picture of her ex-wife. That's and her ex-wife was is a very high status person in the moonlights. And when she found out that Denise was sneaking into other parts of uh, into the lower income places of the city to help them, she left her. But Denise still really treasures that connection, so she still keeps the locket with her.
And something that tells a story about Mr. Gold, is an epithet that follows him around. He can't quite escape it. He lost his left arm in the war, and unlike the sleek and refined, um, almost improved human like replacements of the Sun Courts and the Moonlights, his is this large, blocky, kind of cobbled together piece of Aether tech that allows him to trade over from like fine digit manipulation to switching out different kind of tools as he needs to, replacing his hand with things as varied as a grappling hook or a blade or something along those lines, kind of whatever he needs to in the moment. But that arm has earned him the name of the Mauler. After one time, after getting a little bit inebriated, he got into a bar fight and switched out his hand without meaning to, and maimed and permanently scarred someone who was of moderately high importance, which is what got him banished down to the rivers. So the name Mauler just he can't seem to escape it. So, Skylar,
Mhm.
next on your list is something very specific to your playbook.
Ooh.
Tell me about it.
What are two codes you still hold fast, and what is one you had to break? Very exciting. So the two codes that I hold fast are one, no matter who, those who delight in the pain of others must be dealt with, and two, the needs of the many must come over the want of the few. And the one that I had to let go of is my strength is best used to bring those around me proper change.
Aaron, how about Mox?
For Mox, what are two ways you use to experience the world and one way you try to escape it? Um, so, uh, one of the ways that she experiences the world is sneaking through the places no one wants to be found in, listening to the stories of the forgotten and the runaways, and running with the locals. What better way to really experience the world than with the locals who have grown up there? So she spends a lot of time, I think, down by the Rust Rivers, and she travels back and forth. But that is how she likes to experience the world, is living in it. And then she escapes the world by traveling from city to city and experiencing whatever it has to offer, never making connections or settling down. So the flip side of that is she doesn't she doesn't like to stay in one place. She doesn't like to be reminded of where she came from or anything like that. She just wants to travel.
Porna, how about for Jade?
Um, for Jade, the question is two things you know about the world around you and one you refuse to acknowledge. The two things that Jade knows are one, the math and geometry to chart the stars and navigate the earth, and the way people think and behaviors they exhibit. This frequently comes up in the notebook. Um, and the one thing that Jade refuses to acknowledge is the way ether is generated and used. Not a fan.
Ivan,
Uh, for Denise, the question is, what are two ways you show love for people, and what is one way that destroyed you? Uh, so one, her two ways to show love for other people is one, a tight hug, to help mend emotional scars, and two, a hand to hold when the fear of the world gets to be too much. And the way that she shows love to people that ended up destroying her a couple of times is sympathetic silence, just another pair of shoulders to carry the weight. Because sometimes not saying anything to people is not enough, and that has definitely affected a couple of her friendships in the past. Not not ended in a good way.
And for William Gold, what are two things that he was able to protect, and what is one that was taken from him? The two things that he was able to protect was a stranger who came to him for help because he was the only one that could, and a war he had rescued from a situation outside of their control, and they trusted him implicitly. Uh, the ward is someone who, um, due to no situation of its own, was caught in an issue of coming of age. They were lost, they didn't quite know where to go, and this is before the brawl that earned him the moniker of Mauler. He was a respected sergeant, and he came in and helped give this young individual guidance and taught them life lessons and gave them the confidence to be able to go out into the world and be more. And the one that he was taken from him was the one he learned to trust with everything. And that was the same person. As that person got older and as went out into the world, parts of what Gold did during the war became knowledge to that individual, and they couldn't continue a relationship with him. They distanced themselves from him. Skylar.
Mhm.
Again, from here, this is another one that is very specific to each of the playbooks. What's next for you?
Absolutely. Let's see. Which situation were you in that you knew you were right, and which one do you still question yourself on? So the situation Melly was in where they knew they were right was a group of kids was violently picking on a homeless man and his dog, and Melly stopped them. And the one that Melly still questions themselves on, I think many nights, is a person who is facing despair asked them to help end their life, and Melly did it.
Aaron, how about for Mox?
For Mox, um, what was your greatest adventure? What was one of your greatest adventures and one you knew you went too far? Her greatest adventure was racing across the tops of the train car at rail speed, the first to reach the end in the winter, never knowing if you'll dodge in time for the tunnels and lamps. That was, I think, also during her great escape. She uh, she did a lot of sort of rail riding, stowing away, and a lot of it was dangerous. And then the one where she knew she went too far, breaking into a secure location, the thrill of possibly being caught, questioning if the guards are truly armed. And I'm just gonna say, Mox tried to rob a bank.
Ah! You have to make money somehow. The banks don't need it. For now. How about for Jade?
For Jade, the next playbook question is one thing you know about yourself and one thing that you refuse to acknowledge. For Jade, um, the the one thing that she knows about herself is that if it cannot be quantified, it is not worth understanding. Um, Jade Jade's upbringing kind of makes it more necessary to keep the things in your head that make other things work. Um, the mechanics of the world and anything that is pretty prose is not something that
Irrelevant.
is prioritized as needing mental real estate in Jade's world. And the thing that Jade refuses to acknowledge is that the feelings of isolation, of being in my own head, is maddening sometimes.
Ivan, how about for Denise?
Yes. The question for her is, what is one promise you kept and what is one promise you broke? So the promise that she kept is that uh, she has a dear friend down in the Rust Rivers that she has made, and she promised her to continue her friendship no matter what problems arose or would arise in that area. She would always find a way to get to her, to get to that community and help them out there. And one promise that they broke in a way is that when Denise was helping during a revolution that was happening in the city, uh, she had promised that she would keep her mentor safe, the person that was doing this job before her. Uh, but uh, she wasn't able to protect this mentor. The mentor ended up being grabbed by the authorities and was uh, in a way tortured for aiding in the revolution. So that is something that uh, she wasn't able to keep that promise as much as she tried.
And then for William, it is, what is one order that you will give at a moment's notice, and what is a command you will never order again? The order that Gold will always give is to rally. You've come so far. To give up now means that everything that was done for this was for nothing. Um, and that is because of the order he will never give again, which is to lay down your arms. The war is over. There is no need for more death. Gold sees the system of this city as inherently rotten and broken, and he blames in part himself for having his men lay down their arms and allowing this to become what happened. So for him, there is no more surrender. There is only taking down the regime. Now, to my favorite part of this entire process for the characters, the questions. Skylar.
So, um, I first am asking the person to the left of me, which the way I'm playing is Mox. Mox, how have I done right by you?
Um, I think that Mox is uh probably just one of um the like people that, in a very punk fashion, like Melly just lets Mox crash on their couch. And like Mox is very much just like, you know hangs out with Melly and is like one of the to Melly, I think just one of the like Rust River kids who is, I mean, she's not a kid, she's a young adult, but one of the like people that Melly is just like taking care of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I
They're,
think that makes sense.
they're around the same age, and you're staying in my punk house all the time, for sure, for sure. They can chuck PBR cans at trains. Let's see. And then the person to my right, which is William. Am I creating the change that you want to see?
You're on your way to it. You're questioning the authority. You're realizing there's a problem with the system. Now all you have to do is light the Molotov and throw it.
Damn.
So, real quick, for everyone who is watching, all of our characters don't inherently have to know everybody in the group intimately, but we all know at least two people in the group intimately. These are people who allow us to, at least within a degree of separation, know everybody else. So, while, for example, with how we're set up, William might not know Jade well, William would know of Jade and might even recognize Jade on sight, and because of friendships, would be willing to assist Jade. Um, it is our way of kind of circumventing the you're in a tavern, you don't know each other, what do you do? Uh, so, with that being said, Aaron,
All right.
what are
So
Mox's questions?
to ask the player on my left, which in this case is Jade, or is Purna playing Jade, I'm going to ask, how do I make your life an adventure?
I think um I think there are things that you want to do and then you sometimes just like show up where I am tinkering with stuff, ostensibly working, where people sort of come to like sometimes pay me a little bit to tinker with some stuff. Um and you're like, so I have this amazing idea to do this thing. Um I don't quite know how the math works yet. Can you help? And then I'm like, cool. And then I show you some math, and then you're like, well, also, wouldn't you love to see your math in action? And so you kind of drag me on exploits to be like, look, here's the thing I did with the things that you thought were just scribbles on your notebook and never had to witness, but here we are.
See, this is what the Molotov does.
Yeah. I'm like, but you threw it at the trajectory. Oh, great. That's what it did. Okay. Cool. So glad you've brought me into your web of no, sir, I did not know this was happening.
All right.
That's how you make my life an
And
adventure.
to I love that. And to Melly, I'm gonna say, how do I worry you?
Ooh,
Every day. Every
all the
day.
time, constantly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually kind of impressive because Melly is probably the second least responsible person that they know after you. But yeah, sometimes Mox just like comes home after like 4 days, let's say, covered in soot. And it's like, where did you get soot? Like, what were you doing? Are you being careful? Did you eat? Did you sleep?
Did you have water?
Yeah, these are all pressing questions that often go unanswered.
It's fantastic.
Or sometimes answered in too much detail.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, oh please, you're making it worse. I'm so much more worried now.
Porna, what are Jade's questions?
Is it me?
Yes, I'm sorry. What are your
Yes.
questions?
Sorry, because everyone froze for a second, which I assume was my thing. Okay. To the person on my left, which is Ivan, um, or uh, Denise. Um, Denise, yes, Denise. I will ask. There are too many windows. How have you made me feel unacknowledgeable? Unknowledgeable, not unacknowledgeable. Unknowledgeable.
I think that since you are more like a thinker on like on mechanical things, I think that she sometimes goes on rants about medical things, like like how the parts of the body are connected, like how to heal certain wounds, like the things that you can't do and can't that you can and cannot do when depending on the type of wound that someone has. Uh, Definitely has a lot of home remedies type of thing. So she definitely sometimes gets your head spinning on that amount of information that you probably don't handle that well.
Yeah, I think I
Data
would
dump.
start to make notes about like, because you're trying to relate to me and you're like, yeah, the body's like a machine. And I'm trying to write it down. And I'm like, sure, let's just listen and be like,
Yeah.
same
You're
thing,
so
same
right.
page.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Um,
If you put
yeah,
a
no,
lemon
that
on
makes
your
sense.
ear, you can get rid of your cold.
Why not?
Wow.
Nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that, but
No, nobody does tell you that is because it's true.
yes, yes.
Oh,
Sometimes depending on the type of body that you have, uh
uh huh.
sometimes it doesn't work as well, but most of the time,
Wow, stay
Interesting.
hydrated and keep a
Put a
lemon
lemon
on
in
your
your ear.
ear. Huh.
yeah.
You learn something new sometimes every day, depending on who you talk to. Okay, cool. I'm going to say, I am going to ask, Mox, what is something I do that you don't understand?
Um, I mean, the the easy answer would be everything, but I feel like uh for Mox, it's very much like the sort of uh the sort of like hermitness that Jade has is like Mox is always trying to go out and find new people and new experiences, and like Jade is sometimes like perfectly happy just like staying at home and tinkering on something, but like Mox just does not get that. I feel like that is partially why Mox drags Jade along on like capers and stuff, is
Adventures.
yeah, is like she's legitimately like, "Oh, poor Jade must like not have anyone inviting her to do stuff."
Yeah, and I what I love about that is that like Jade having come from like Forger's Alley is like this is what people who need to earn do. They stay in one place so that the people who give them the money come to them so they can give them the money to do things for them. I am not looking for social activities. And then like Mox comes along and goes, but you know what would be great? Like I don't see you like the world is my office. I'm just like, oh my god. Please. I said one time I would like to be friends, and you've taken that so literally. Please,
This is what
just let
happens
me
when you
tinker.
get When you get adopted by an extrovert, this is what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
You made the mistake of saying yes one time, Ivan. What
Yes.
are Denise's questions?
Yes. So to the person on my left, which I think is will be William. Yes. Uh, how have I brought you comfort in your darkest times?
William doesn't drink anymore. Not after the Mahler incident. Uh, but because of that, he can't get his demons to get out of his head very easily. He suffers quite a bit with PTSD, severe bipolar disorder, and mood swings. Um, and part of that leads him to getting into altercations on a semi regular basis. And I think Denise is quite often met as she's getting back to her door by a battered and a little bit bloodied William, who just in this an effortless charm, is like, "Well, aren't you the fairest woman on the streets today?" Blood dripping out from a cut on his
Yeah.
cheek. And in those moments, I think that William opens himself up to Denise in a way that he doesn't really open up to a lot of people. And Denise might be one of a handful of people who knows just how much William carries on his shoulders.
Yeah. And I think also if I may add something that maybe since he doesn't drink or doesn't partake in any imbibements, I think it's the word. I think
Right.
she probably has suggested him like natural like melatonin, for example. Like
Oh,
maybe
100%.
yeah, maybe try melatonin so you can sleep better at night and not alcohol. So
He has like chicory root in his pocket now at all times because he'll just chew on some chicory root, just to
yeah,
numb the pain of that he has from all the broken jaws that he's had throughout his life. So he just like
yeah,
constant supply of chicory root in the pocket.
yeah. And to the person on my right, uh, let's see, which would be Jay. Uh, how is one way I have hurt you?
I mean, doesn't really help that you keep telling me to put random produce in my ear. It's not ideal. But I think I think maybe one way that you hurt me was like in an opposite kind of situation to one where you were trying to relate to me, where you were like, oh yeah, like, the human body is like a machine, blah blah blah. And then I think once maybe I tried to help you or like suggest that like I could help, uh probably not be a nurse maybe, but be like a nurse's assistant or something, because I was thinking of more things I could do to earn money. And maybe you said, you don't just walk up to other mortals, and know what to do. Like, this is not a place that brooks mistakes. This is not, this is not a toy. A person is not a toy. Just because, just because we are friendly and I think that you have things you can contribute to the world does not mean that you can tinker with humans as you do with machines. And I think Jade was like, because I think you were just trying to communicate the seriousness of your profession and like the
Yeah.
consequences of your actions, but like Jade was like, uh, right, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
just like never brought it up again.
I like the idea, if I can interject on this, of maybe it was to Denise. What they were saying was they were trying to speak in kindness and they were trying to speak on a level that they thought would not offend or hurt Jade's
Yeah,
feelings. Just, it was one of those, hey, you're great with machines, but the human body, as similar as it is, isn't one, and you just can't tinker around in there.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
It makes perfect sense to me. My turn. So, let me see. To my left, I have Denise. So, Ivan,
Yes.
we've already answered the question I was originally going to ask for how do you help me let my guard down? That was going to be my original question. So, my new question is when did Denise learn that she could trust William with the hard decisions?
Hmm. I think it was mostly just talking with him. I think that after their first meeting, uh, and probably meeting several more times as she got to know him better, um, to see how he really was. I think she eventually saw that he was a very trustworthy man. Uh, Deep down, despite how he seems so volatile because of all of his issues that he has, deep down he's worth trusting. uh and I think maybe uh he also helped her a little bit. Maybe she was having like maybe she was like treating another person like another alcoholic person, and the person got a bit rowdy and even tried to attack her while she was trying to treat him, and William jumped in to help her, to help that, to save her from this uh wild person. And I think that might have been the final nail in seeing that he was worth trusting.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Skylar, what is a hard truth that William Gold gave Melly that they didn't want to, but have to accept?
You don't understand the people you're trying to help, is what William said. Um, and if you can do that, you're going to do a better job.
Can I tell you how I think that that statement actually came out of William?
Yeah, absolutely.
Melly, you have so much to offer this city. It is a broken and wretched thing with an opportunity to do so much good, but you fail to understand the actual issues that happen outside of the subcourts. You have the makings of a fantastic leader in you. And when you get to the point that you actually understand where the people are coming from, you are going to drop this city with a thunder.
It's really cool. Yeah, Melly was definitely hurting that day. They were like, "What do you mean I don't understand? I'm out here. I've been doing real justice on the ground." Had a little cry about it. Was like, "He's right. I got to get smart. I got to talk to people." And then the thunder.
Right, and then just bringing it down,
Mhm.
toppling down with a thunder.
Crash, destruction. Yeah, let's do it.
Here's the Molotov. Here's your match. You know what to do.
Very helpful talk from Ellie.
So, we have our people. We have a city. Let's burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
So, I think that there is a meeting place down right at the border between the Rust Rivers and Fortress Alley. I think that a it is I think it's a club. Makes sense. Not like a dance club, more of a social club. There's a little bit of drinking. There's music going on, but it's not like pounding rhythmic dance music. It's more just for people to listen to as they converse and talk. And in the past, tying in the revolution that Denise talked about, this might have been one of the original hangouts for that batch of revolutionaries, which is how Denise knows about it. And I think that part of that batch of revolutionaries is where originally William Gold met Denise.
Yeah.
Uh, so to William Gold, who was already a scarred and brutal man, Denise was this bright-eyed and energetic, idealistic individual.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work, unfortunately for everybody. But just I think word has gotten around again that this is a place where people who have issues with the current system congregate. And William Gold is behind the bar. He doesn't drink, but he still does tend the bar. And I think that the night that we all gather, sitting in front of each of your usual spots is your drink of choice. What are your drinks of choice for your
Ooh,
characters?
interesting.
I think
Melly,
Melly's is a highball for sure.
just highballs, whiskey highball, vodka highball,
Yeah,
whiskey highball.
I think
Okay.
I think it's still a little tough for them. Like I envision them being like kind of 23, and they definitely only started drinking a couple years ago, but they're like, yeah, highball. Just hit me with that whiskey and the seltzer. And then they take a sip and they're like,
It's great.
very good.
It's
so
great.
good.
Why do I see Moxie just downing Jaeger bombs?
Um, yeah, with Moxie, I think that it's I'm trying a rum and soda. My
Okay.
mind went through things that wouldn't exist in this world, and it's both Coke and Cuba. So I was trying to figure out names for that drink.
I mean, okay, to make it easy, there is still Coke. To make it easy,
Yeah.
there is still Coke.
It's
But
it's
rum
it's
and
a
cola,
it's a
because
rum,
cola's
rum
not.
and Coke,
Yeah.
and I think she those little like swizzle sticks, but it's also like sort of a straw, but it's a really narrow one. She
Yeah.
definitely drinks it through the straw and in like a way that it's like she goes down like a bird to the table, and is so you just like next to Melly, you just hear
You are a monster. Gold is just shaking his head. You are a monster, and I love you so much. Jade, what is Jade's drink of choice?
I think Jade would have also whiskey, but not in like a highball, like in like the old
Like
in
an
an
old
old
fashioned?
fashioned glass. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
also
neat or on the
because
rocks?
an old fashioned um lets her have something smoky, which tickles her. Also, I think it's really amusing to me slash very sad that Coke still exists in this world and probably has advertising all across the Rust Belt. Like, we're
It does.
red, you're red,
Right.
everything's red.
It's 100%. 100%. New Aether flavored Coke.
Oh my god.
Right.
It just tastes
We
like
don't
crystal Pepsi.
we don't talk about the carcinogens that are within drinking Aether. It's not, don't ingest Aether, it's bad for you. Ivan, what is Denise's drink of choice?
Well, I think that she definitely is not, because she wants to be sober to be able to do the work that she does. So she has never been like a big drinker. She only has like one drink that she drinks only on the holidays, because it's kind of accepted that it's good to drink. So whenever she wants to indulge a little bit, she just drinks eggnog.
So I think that instead of an eggnog, I think there might be a small pot of tea in a cup waiting for Denise.
Yeah.
Um, I think that on principle, Gold only pulls out eggnog during the holiday season.
Yeah.
Just on principle. Only time. And I think that as you guys come in, William looks at all of you with a smile and just looking especially kind of towards Moxie. I think I found a way for us to really stick it to the Sun Courts.
Mox leans in and just like picks up her glass and is just like, yeah.
Who here knows about the rumors going around that the that not all of the blueprints are being destroyed that should be?
What, like
You know how it
for the
works?
weapons?
For the weapons. You know, those designs that come from the Moonlights down to Forger's Alley that are supposed to be destroyed after they're broken down to their component parts.
Interesting. Well, where are they ending
How
up?
did. Well, from my understanding, there's an individual who is trying to make a pretty little profit by selling those completed build blueprints. I believe, for one, in equal access to information. And I think that there are parts of the Rust Rivers that would absolutely love to get their hands on these blueprints. Who wants to appropriate these blueprints and make sure that the people who really need them have access to them?
I do. I do. Yeah. Point me where you
And
need me, boss.
So, in that case, I think that from here the plan is kind of laid out. There is a the person who is supposed to be making sure these are destroyed is the foreman at one of the main aether related machine shops. He gets them in from a contact on from the Moonlights. They go. They're supposed to be broken down and spread out to the different machine shops, so that no one person knows how they all get fitted together. All of the component parts are then shipped back to the Moonlights, where they are turned into the weapons that arm the security automatrons that patrol the Sun Courts and the more affluent parts of the Moonlight. Uh, there is, of course, sections of the Moonlight that aren't as affluent, and that's where the refiners and the miners will live. So then these are supposed to be sent to destruction. Instead, just empty blueprint paper gets sent. And no one quite knows where the foreman is keeping these pages, but they aren't getting destroyed. How do you guys think we should handle this?
Hmm.
Probably
So,
break
I
into
mean,
their
it's just
house.
one guy, right?
It's one guy and his 5 security detail.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you want me to break his legs and or face?
I mean, I would love for that to be part of the plan, but we need a little bit more to the plan than that.
Everyone's
I don't
why do
think
we
that
need more to the
anybody.
plan than that? I feel like that's a
You are fantastic at breaking people's kneecaps, but I think we need some way to make sure that we're not also taken out by the 5 security guards either.
Are all 5 there at once, or is there like a guard change?
When he's supposed to be taking these blueprints out for destruction, there is at least 4 of them there. I have heard that sometimes it is all 5, but it is at least always 4.
So we need to break at least 8 kneecaps. Got it.
I mean, we could probably break 1 kneecap a person for the guards, so 6 kneecaps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 6 is doable. Okay. I mean, probably an ambush. Probably an ambush.
Ambush makes sense.
Let me know if I'm cooking here.
I've
I
also
smell it.
been getting really good about you know I'm real skinny, right? I've been getting really good about wriggling down chimneys as long as they don't have a fire in them at that moment.
Well, it is summer, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
That explains where all that
Perfect.
soot was coming from.
It does.
All right. Well, I mean, some of
Speaking
it
of
was
Moxie,
explosives.
Moxie, you still need to clean my entryway from all the soot you drug in last week. I haven't forgotten about that. So either
You
you
haven't
clean
had
it or
anyone
I'm.
clean. You haven't cleaned your house in a week.
Oh, no, no. See, there's always smudge anywhere. But I'm talking about the soot that is ingrained into the floor. I need that out. So I will either charge you for it or you can clean it. And I know you don't have the money right now.
How much are we talking? Because maybe I get the money.
We'll talk. So looking over at Jade, Gold just looks at her for a moment. If we get you these blueprints, you'd be able to copy them pretty easy, right? They're mechanical schematics.
Yeah, you'd have to get me something to copy it onto because paper don't grow on trees.
Paper
Or
made
does
of
it?
trees.
Actually, I
Paper
think it
made.
does.
Paper comes from trees, Jade.
Grow inside trees.
And the great thing is as he leans behind the bar and pulls out this giant roll of parchment paper that's very thin. The great thing about operating a place that serves food, no one bats an eye when you buy 30 rolls of parchment paper.
Jade's eyes gleam with like, oh my god, so much stationery in one place. And just like,
Just for
yes.
blueprints. Just for blueprints. If you do a good job, I'll give you a roll to take home to do with whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, hang on. Once I copy the blueprints, who's making the thing?
Whoever wants to down in the Rust Rivers.
So Jade makes a face and sort of wrinkles up her nose about like, sure, outsource the fun part. And just like,
I mean, you're welcome to a copy and make your own if you want to. I'm not preventing you from. You're making the blueprints. Make as many as you want. I don't care. I just want to make sure the people who really need access to these kind of weaponry, to take down the oppressive force that's keeping them licking the boots of the people above them, have access to them.
sure. Yep, that makes sense. I'll do it.
Perfect. He looks over towards Denise, just kind of getting a gauge on how Denise is feeling about this plan.
Yeah, she has been not. I mean, she understands that sometimes violence has needs to be done in some scenarios, but it's definitely not her first choice uh whenever these plans come up. So I think she has just been sitting kind of quietly while everyone shares their thoughts, kind of just thinking about what other possible way to do this could there be. And I think at one point she says, you know, uh, as much as I applaud all the planning that is going on right now, I'm not sure how this would help us, but I heard from some of the refinery workers that I've been treating in the couple of days that these that this apparently this foreman's mother passed away recently and they're planning a funeral pretty soon. I'm not sure. Maybe we could try to take advantage of this vulnerable moment uh, to try to a- attack or intercept him, only him, and maybe we can get some information from him. With
Maybe where he's keeping the documents.
yes,
That could work. That could work.
Also,
Yeah.
if we know when he's going to be out of the house, we could break
Yeah.
into the house.
We
Yeah.
don't know
yeah,
if he's keeping them at the house, though.
Yeah. We should grab him and then keep him until we have the documents.
And
We're
then
gonna
break his
need-
knees.
Yes, so true.
Uh,
We're gonna need some masks or hoods or bags for the kidnapping part.
I mean, we just really need one bag for
For him or for us?
I mean, if
Oh
we
yeah,
just
just one
do,
for him.
we
No
just need
eye
one
hole.
bag for him. No eye holes. Yeah, no, he doesn't.
No.
He doesn't need to say anything. He just needs to be able to talk.
Yeah, just whoop, nice and
Exactly.
easy. So wise.
Gold looks over with like this sheepish, like he knows he shouldn't be encouraging this level. So he kind of just shoots this little sheepish look towards Denise, like I'm sorry, I get wrapped up in it also.
yeah,
There's
she
not a
she just
verbal
sighs.
apology. Right. She's used to it. It's fine. It's not, but it's fine.
I don't, Denise, I promise I don't have to break his kneecaps. We can just do the bag and maybe a little light punching.
Yeah,
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
Hi. As someone who grew up with, I don't know if you've heard of this, consequences, I would like to just
That's
remind
true.
some of us that maybe all we need to do is concentrate on getting the plans, and then in future plans we can do whatever light punching means, so that it's not related to the plan stealing, and then nobody connects it to us, because there's a decent chance that when we give the plans to the people who should have the plans, people will know where the plans are coming from. So I
Yeah,
vote
but
we don't break any bones. And like Jade looks towards Denise, like, see, I get it. Human body, great,
right.
should not be broken on
I
purpose.
mean,
She
And
looks
so
so
then
proud.
just looks at everybody and goes,
I think that as a
just
counterpoint,
goes,
Gold just leans forward to Porna and says, "There's another way to make sure that he doesn't know who we are when these plans get leaked." And he just leaves it at just that ominous. Yeah, there is another
mm-hmm.
way to make sure that he
Yeah,
doesn't know who we are when these plans get leaked. That is even more foolproof.
Well, wait a second.
And
He's
he
not supposed
just
to be. He's not supposed to be doing this either,
um,
right?
no, he's not. He's
So
supposed to be destroying. Right.
who's he gonna tell? Oh, the stuff I was stealing was stolen from me.
I mean, that's the other
That's
thing is
like
if we leave him alive, he becomes the patsy.
Hmm.
If we
Hey,
leave him alive,
we gotta be
he's the
careful.
patsy.
Yeah. He might try and blame us for all of it or something.
I mean, he can try, but we're just a bunch of bums from down near the Rust Rivers.
That's true.
Who's going to believe him? Look, I have a fake eye, and he just drops the massive arm on the table. And this, I can't do anything smart. Ask the Sun Courts; they'll tell you. So I think we have a plan. I think either way, we're going to need to get this form in. I like the idea of if we can figure out when exactly and where exactly this funeral is taking place. I'm sure we can figure out where exactly his house is and kind of plan out which route he's probably going to take.
yeah.
And, sometimes the grief of losing a parent is so unbearable you can't make it to the funeral.
That's true. That's true.
And
Emotional
we'll
damage.
see what happens to the foreman from there.
Yeah. And I guess
Question.
I just want to suggest, unless everyone really wants to break some kneecaps for some reason, I think I can have access to some drugs that can get rid of him without a lot of pain, if you catch my meaning. Uh,
At that
I've
point, Gold just gives Denise a look of, really?
at
Denise.
least it won't be as painful as punching him to death.
I
So
wouldn't punch. So at that point, you see his hand fold into the machine, and this just very wicked looking aether blade pop out and just emits this monomolecular edge. It wouldn't be painful, I promise.
oh
I doubt
wow.
that.
So sick.
Is that
And
yeesh?
legal? No, it's not. He says as he folds it back into his arm.
There's a few moments where Jade is just like staring at the blade and like sort of where it disappeared, like making mental notes and stuff. And then turns to everybody and goes, a few questions. A, how long was everybody drinking before I got here? B,
I have not been drinking. I've been distinctly only drinking tea.
Sober, right? I haven't drinking a drop.
oh, good. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you decide to poison people without drinking. But,
I'm not poisoning
so,
anybody.
Listen, I'm just following the path that everyone seems to be on, which is to hurt this man in some way. I'm just trying to come up with a way that it wouldn't hurt as much. Okay?
sure. No, yes. I mean, fewer things can go wrong. I think this is a good way to go. Just alarming to see to hear the person who heals a lot of your streets ailments talk so casually about poison. Anyway, but what I was going to say is that if there is a funeral and sometimes you might, raise some suspicions if you don't show up for your parents' funeral, perhaps we could wait until they're coming back from the funeral where people would not expect them to see them out and about for a while after, and then slip them the poison slash calming elixir that they would just
Come on,
need
Elixir.
to gather themselves for a few days.
Smart. Grab them
Oh,
after.
that's really
Just a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
See, this is why, Jade, you are one of my favorite people. Just as
Can I have a blade?
You can't have my blade, but I can get you something.
Worth a shot. Cool.
I can teach you how to wield an aether blade, but we don't have time for that for this mission, for this go around.
Okay.
And I think with that, it is time for us to take a break.
Okay.
We're actually a little bit over. Sophia, don't be mad at us. Welcome back, everybody. So, we have a plan.
Yes.
We are going to abduct a man after his mother's funeral and convince him to tell us where he is keeping illicit blueprints that should be destroyed in art. So, what does the weather like on the day that we go and do this?
Hmm. I think I think if we want to make it cinematic, it's probably cloudy or raining, and
Okay.
everyone in the funeral is like holding umbrellas while looking at the tombstone and stuff.
So, yeah, I like that. This is very cinematic. The rain is falling just enough for them to have the big black umbrellas out. There's this group of people, the body gets lowered down. Here's the casket, um, here lies Bethany. Um, and the rain stops, and I think we grab him on the way home when it's raining. So, who wants to handle the grabbing?
Hmm.
I think that Mox would want to do it.
Oh, 100%. I think that one of the rules that Gold kind of enforces is that we never act alone. So at least one other person is going with Mox. Who is it?
Sounds like a job for Millie.
Melly. Okay. Does anyone else want to be a part of it?
Of the grabbing?
Of the grabbing? Or at least close by of the grabbing?
Yeah, I think I wanna be close by uh
Able
just
to
to make
react
sure.
if needed?
Yeah, yeah, just getting ready
I
in
like
case they
that.
need backup.
So in this case, I'll go ahead and I'll be the foreman. And we'll be having Melly, Mox, and Denise there. Jade can also interfere, so you can always put Jade into the scene at any time if something happens where you think for that. You are not excluded from the scene in any way. But starting up for placement and for everything else. So I think that let's call him Charlie is the name of it. It seems like a very foreman name, Charlie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that Charlie is, he has his umbrella down, the rain has stopped. He's kind of using it a little bit as like he's tapping the tip on the ground as he's going. Uh Even with it being his mother's funeral, he's still focused on business. Hello, cat. Um so he makes his way in and he's just making his way down the street.
Right.
How do Mox and Melly approach him?
Hmm. Probably the
Hey,
classic mugger's flank.
Okay.
So one person would be tailing him, and then somebody else would like step out in front of him. Sound good? Do you want to be the tailer or the
I
stepper,
think
Mox?
I think Mox is a stepper.
which one lets me put the bag over his head?
Depends which one he's looking at. But I think the bag over his head is probably more of a from behind him thing.
That's probably
Unless
the
you really
tailor.
want to get him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Melly's a good stepper because Melly's like big.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would like to ask in this instance, how are we taking him away once we grab him? Like, do we have a vehicle or some kind? Are there cars in this universe?
So I think that there are at least like aether powered wagons, which are the same as cars. They're cars by another name, but I think there are vehicles, and I think that's where gold is right now. Gold is waiting in the car.
Yes.
All right.
So would this be a time to
Play cards.
play a card?
Yeah,
I
who's
think
first? Sorry.
so here's my thing is, who wants narrative control over the scene? Because when we're playing cards, we're not playing to successfully do an action. That's part of it. We're playing for narrative control.
Okay. Then I think I will. I'm gonna. How do I play a card?
So just go and drop it for right now.
Okay.
All right.
Do I have to flip it, or can you
We'll
see
we'll
it?
get there in just a second. We can see the card face down, and for right
Okay.
now we want to leave it face down. Does Melly want any stakes on control for this? No is okay.
I would like to have something
Okay.
in case like Mox's play doesn't work out so well. I think Melly has a move to step in with. If
Perfect.
that's
So,
okay.
but I will say that I am going to, as the NPC, vie for control. And since we're not being able to show the cards without entirely dropping the frame rate so bad that I crash, um, in Neon Shadows, we all have a hand of 5 standard playing cards. These playing cards are broken down by suit, of course, with the suits being able to affect different things. Hearts are meant based off of emotional plays. Diamonds are intellectual plays. We use presence for clubs. It's more than just physicality. It is kind of enforcing your will, is what clubs are for. Because the reality is, a hug is a physical emotional thing. So we didn't want to say everything physical is a club because that doesn't make much sense. And then spades are fun because spades are the chance for the wheels of fate to interact and throw all of the plans out the window because who knows what will happen. I do think that for this, again, because obviously Charlie doesn't want to get taken. So he is going to be vying for control. When you are playing as an NPC in this game, you are not playing a card from your hand. You are just taking a card from the top of the deck and playing that. I like going off of a 3 count. That way it's done at the same time, and we will go on 3 for the card flip. You just click on the card to turn it over. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. So the 4 of clubs was the attempt for the grab. And I think that the emotional play off of this for the Jack of Hearts, and at this point, Melly can chime in with a play if. So at this point, for right now, because now that the play is going, anyone can jump in on it.
Hmm. Just to clarify, if I make a play, am I competing against that Jack or am I competing against a new card?
You're competing against that Jack because it's still for the same
Gotcha.
instance.
In that case, ooh, I So Charlie obviously doesn't want to get got. Maybe he's making a strong emotional play, like, hey, it's my mom's.
We're not doing this.
Yeah, not
It's my
right
mom's.
now.
I just buried my mother.
Um,
Now is not the time.
I think Melly is kind of frozen in place, but maybe that's when the hands of fate start to turn.
Fantastic. I love a spade drop. So, we're going off of the base table that is going to be in Neon Shadows. By the way, I haven't said it yet for the stream. Neon Shadows is going to be releasing on Kickstarter tomorrow. Please feel free to go check it out. I think we have a command that someone can put into chat to pop up that information. All right. So for a 7 of spades, we are looking at.
A wounded
There's
animal
the table.
joins the group.
A stray animal limps towards the group, clearly injured. So you now have narrative control. What is the animal that is limping towards you guys?
Good question. I think. Well, what part of town are we in for the funeral?
I think that this is probably in the cloud tops.
I think probably a dog. You know, maybe it used to be a family pet, and for whatever reason, it's been like out on the streets for like a week or two, and it's taking this moment to come ask for help. But I definitely feel like it's a distraction. Let's see.
So I think part of it is just at the situation, just because again, you have narrative control still. With the spades, you won the hand, and with that, we will discard all of the cards. So we don't get wrapped up. I forgot to include a discard, but that's fine. I'm going to stack them over here for right now. So how do you think that just this introduction of real quick for all of the players, if you haven't checked the chat, please do so.
Okay.
Yeah. Brief second for technical on our end, guys. It'll just take us one moment to get back up and running. I am not seeing one for me in that list of new. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. All right. So no, yeah. How does this dog kind of stepping in? How does that affect specifically Melly, but kind of how does that affect the scene?
That's a good point. You know, I think the dog, for one thing, makes Melly really think about why they're doing this. In the moment, I think the dog kind of represents a lot to Melly.
Okay.
And also creates a sense of urgency because now we got to get this done quickly so that Melly can take this dog.
Of course.
And so I think she, sheds like a beautiful single tear, and then knocks Charlie in the head.
And Charlie is just so not ready for it. And just again, because Charlie is also distracted by the dog, and then just Melly decks him straight across the You're right. Yeah. And Charlie's head snaps back, and he drops like a sack of potatoes, just straight to the ground.
Mox is just like catches like his armpits and is like trying to hold him up.
I think Charlie is not a small guy. I think Charlie is like 6'2" and like 350 pounds. Like he's a big guy.
This is gonna be a two
Mox
person
is about
one.
a foot and 160 pounds shorter,
right?
Smaller than him.
Yeah.
And yeah, Charlie just drops down back into Mox, who's
Yeah, Melly is definitely helping. You know, Melly is like 5'11", 200 lives of twisted steel.
Yeah.
So let's got to get Charlie in the van quickly.
So I'm
and then we got to
imagining
get that dog.
I'm imagining that Gold is just watching you guys drag this limp man and he looks over towards Jade like they shouldn't have to be dragging him, right? Not like that.
No. Yeah.
Mox
No.
Mox kind of just grabs his umbrella and like pops it open and then just like sticks it under his arm so it's like a bit of a
little bit of coverage.
Shield. Nothing to see here.
That's right. Move along, move
Um,
along.
So
What
here's the
happened?
thing. Like Jade would turn to Gold and be like, "We have a nurse. Potentially if we said to people around on the street, "Hey, oh my god, that guy collapsed." And Denise goes, "Help me get him into this van so I can get him to medical attention." No one would care.
I don't think anyone would care. So this is a question for the table. How busy do you guys think the street is right now? Because after the rain, I don't know if it's even busy enough for us to really worry about that.
Yeah.
And we're by a cemetery.
Right.
Like, probably not a lot.
Right. I think we're far enough from the cemetery that no one who was at the cemetery would be able to really
Yeah.
see what's going on. But yeah, I think that
I think
Gold. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that like, since the funeral is done, and he knows that there is no food at home because there was no wake. It was just like a funeral. He would probably just be walking along the street to like the nearest like fish and chip
Eatery.
shop kind of
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And just to grab something on his way home, and that's probably where we
Pop his jaw
saved
out
him
of
from
socket.
himself.
Right.
Yeah. So since he's near like a bunch of shops where like people can just stop and like grab some food, I think there's a decent chance that there's like a bunch of people just stopping by on their way from work or something. It might not be like a crowded street, but I think there is like might be a few
A
people
couple
around.
of people. That makes
Mm.
sense. I like to think that, at least Millie had the good common decency to not deck him straight in the middle of the street where everyone could see them.
No, this was a classic alley mugging flank for sure. Yeah,
100%.
but maybe he
100%.
fell out of the alley, and now
Oh
it's
no! What a travesty! You have fainted. We are now going to get you to medical safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Anybody help
Mox
us get
like
this guy in a
picks up
van for medical.
Mox picks up on Jade's plan and is just like, "Oh no, this very unwieldy guy is fainted, and is there someone who is some sort of medical professional nearby?"
Denise.
That's when I pop up. Oh, bring him in over here. I can help him.
Don't worry,
How
I
about a
have his dog
convenient
also.
van?
Right.
I'm not a veterinarian, so I don't know if I could do a lot about the dog.
Dog's fine. I got the dog. Don't worry.
Gold just looks as you bring this dog into his van, like, and now we're saving the dog. I'm not against the dog, just the dog was not part of the plan.
Well, I'll take care of the dog.
Are you ready for the responsibility? Can you take care of just very dad tone?
I'll
Can you take
I'll
care
feed
of?
and water it twice daily.
Okay,
And snacks.
not too many
Walking.
snacks. Not too many snacks.
Well,
Yeah, I think that we get Charlie loaded up into the van, and I think we make a fairly clean getaway out of it. So I don't think we take Charlie back to the club because that would be stupid.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of abandoned warehouses right where the river that cuts through the city, right where the transition happens in the docks from the Rust Rivers to Forger's Alley. I think right
I
around there, there's some very abandoned, very decrepit warehouses.
I think that Mox might have a couple places that are like her, like crime planning hideouts that are like, I'm going to do all of my stuff here so that I don't get like guards knocking at Melly's door.
Right. Because that is not being a good couch surfer. Rule one, you don't bring the cops to the person's house that you're couch surfing on. That's against the rules. We don't do that. So yeah, I think very much just one of Moxie's den of crime is where we're taking Charlie. So yeah, I think we get Charlie. We get him, situated, tie him down to the chair, and I think Goal just grabs a who knows how old bucket of like mucky mop water.
Yeah.
Yeah, ugh. And he just dumps it on Charlie to wake him up, and it like coagulates as it runs down his body. It's who knows how old this, but like I think that when Moxie found this place, this bucket was already in the corner. Moxie did put the bucket there. The bucket came with the building.
Oh no.
Yeah, full disclosure, I don't know where that's been.
That's fine. I don't think I wasn't going to waste clean water on him.
It's fair.
And I think Charlie sputters awake and it just gags at the smell and the feel of it. Who are all of you? He says, looking at all of all of us.
Oh, that's a bad question. The first rule of crime, you don't tell people who you are.
So what? Okay, let me try this again. What do you want?
Do we tell them what we want right now, or do we have a plan to go at this guy? Or Mox is saying this in front of everyone, in front of him also.
You don't know what you. Why did
Her
you
notebook,
take
and
me?
it's like you can see her
Well, I
scribbling.
know what I want, but I don't
Okay,
know
then
if we're gonna do
what do
some
you
like.
want?
I think it's okay if we just tell them what we want, because like we gotta get there eventually. You got some blueprints you shouldn't have, huh, buddy?
I don't know what you're talking about.
See, that's why I didn't tell him just right away.
I those I don't even know what you're talking about. I
But
don't have
I
blueprints.
but I do know what I'm talking about. And I do know that I hit you very hard and I can do it again.
And he looks Melly up and down. You have a pretty iconic looking build to be making those kinds of threats.
Well, hmm.
Um, so Jade, who was in the middle of writing rules of crime to put on like Mox's wall. First rule of
Moxie's
crime, and
rule
then
of
nobody.
crime.
Yeah, and so like walks walks right up to where Charlie's tied up, and thinks better of it because intimidation, not strong suit. So walks kind of behind him and like bends down to his ear, goes, "You are Charlie Whipple Snatch." and you have of bloody blah of 565609 Bleecker Street. You just lost your mom. You work 9 to 5, or let's say 7 to 3. Um, and somehow you've been given the opportunity to get some information that doesn't belong to you. We have a
I
bunch of information about you that doesn't belong to us, but we're not actively using it against you right now. And I think
I
that's really, really nice of us, but that's just the kind of people that we are. Right now, we're just hanging out here, some of us covered in questionable liquids now, and nothing else needs to happen that's bad. You know, you can just hand over the blueprints to us nice people so we can do with it whatever we want because you don't need to know that either. But
so
yeah.
question for you.
Mhm.
Let's say I give you these blueprints.
Uh-huh.
Um, if I do that, I'm assuming something is going to happen with them. You wouldn't want them otherwise. Um, what happens to me after I give you these blueprints? Because I know he looks at
Depends on
all of your faces now.
well, depends on how much time you take in pretending like you have power in this situation and how much time we take in explaining to you how you don't have the power in this situation. It's a matter of time and how long it takes to do all of that stuff. So, see, the thing is, the fun thing is, guys like you are used to having some amount of power over people. But see, here's the thing about physics: a large man tied up in ways you might not even have discovered yet in the center of a room can sometimes just walk free of his own accord, and sometimes parts of him could disappear. So it really depends on the physics of the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Gold
mean
could
it.
not be prouder of Jade in this moment. Gold is just beaming like a proud father as Jade threatens this man tied to a chair. You know, it just says like, I've made anarchists out of all of them. I've won. I've done it.
Also,
Yes, yes, down with authority.
another one of those rules of crime things. Uh, it's generally not a good idea to tell people who are kidnapped you that uh, the only way that they are still safe is if you're unable to say anything. That doesn't usually work out
Oh,
for.
no, no, no. I was just asking what is my incentive to give you these documents?
Oh,
Because if they exist, and I'm not saying they do, but if they exist, they seem to be what you want. And my knowledge of where they are is the only thing currently keeping me alive. Am I close to the mark on that?
yeah. So we can let you like live and like go and keep your job and stuff. Like we don't. Here's the thing. Obviously, we kidnapped you. What were you doing with those documents though? Like who are you going to tell about us? So I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I'm totally cool letting you go and letting you go back to your little job and letting you go back to your little life and stuff. You just give us the documents, and neither of us ever speak of this ever.
And I'm supposed to take the word of the person who punched me square across the face on my way home from my mother's funeral.
That should be extra incentive to take my word.
Who else's word are you waiting on exactly? You've got us. Maybe listen to us. Your other options are be a little weird about this, waste our time, eventually give us the documents, and by that time maybe you've annoyed us enough that you leave with fewer limbs than you came in with. Seems unnecessary, but some people are just gonna have to. Some people just make your life more difficult than it needs to be. It's like it doesn't need to be this complicated. And like Jade looks around at like Melly and Mox, and it's like, right?
Yeah.
So I think that in order to break him, we might need to play a card for it.
Okay.
And I think currently, since Porna's been the one leading this, I think Porna's the one that gets to play the card.
Oh no. Okay.
So just a
let's
quick
see.
Mox
also play a card?
Mox can also play a card. Because remember, anyone can really
Yeah.
play a card. They're going for narrative control. So if you click and drag the card onto the play mat.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then again on 3, we're going to click the cards on 3. So go ahead and drop it, Porna.
Okay. Just under my thing?
Yeah, that's perfect right there.
Okay.
And on 3, 1, 2, 3. Ho 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 ho! So again, using the intellect on this one, great card for Porno has had Jay drop the Ace of Diamonds, which is the highest intellect-based card that there is in the deck. Neon Shadows plays on an Ace high system, so 2 is the low card, Ace is the high card. So yeah, using intellect, you have control on this, and yeah, he breaks. You're like, okay, you've made your point. I would like to be able to leave with all of my limbs attached. I keep the documents. I don't keep them in my house. There is a train locker at the Cloud Top station, the key of which is at my house. It is hidden within the. And he looks a little bit ashamed as he saying this out loud. The cremated remains of my grandfather. The key is hidden inside of the urn with his ashes.
Come on, man.
No one would look there.
Honestly.
I mean, yeah, but jeez.
Look, okay, it's the kind of thing that my grandfather would view as a compliment. You didn't know the man. I get my business acumen from him. Okay, look, he'd be proud. Man, that is a stacked set of played cards too. We had a Jack, a Queen, and an Ace. That was a jacked set of cards. But yeah, I think that he says, okay, here's where it is. You know where my house is, obviously. Jade said so. He doesn't say Jade's name, but he nods with his head towards Jade. You said so. It is within the foyer. It is on the mantle. It is the third urn from the left. I would like to be able to leave
how
my
many
limbs now.
urns you god in
Yeah.
there.
Look, okay, my father's side of the family always did cremation, and whoever is the oldest son inherits all of the grandfathers. I didn't make the custom, I'm just a part of it.
All right. Well, Goldie, I hope you don't mind me getting a lot more, tracking a lot more soot around
You can just go in through the front door.
with those guards.
What guards? They're off today.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
the
well, that makes
guards
it
aren't at his house.
easier, I guess. I guess I don't need to.
Yeah.
Fine.
So Gold um, walks forward and seeing the arm, because he hasn't seen Gold's arm until now. Seeing his arm, Charlie's eyes go wide. And he just murmurs the word Mauler. And you see at that word, Gold's eyes turn very hard. It is not a look that anyone besides maybe Denise has seen. It is the face that earned him the name Mauler. And Charlie just starts sputtering and like trying to grovel his way out of making it out of your life because he's like, look, I gave you what you wanted. I gave you exactly what you wanted. I was told I could leave. And Gold shakes his head a little bit and says, see, the thing is, Charlie, boy, what the kids didn't know is the bodies you have buried in the refinery from overwork, in the workshops from overworking the people who work there. They don't know about the orphans that you've created and then put to work in those shops. He says, as he does so, that aether blade folds out of his arm, and you see it whir up.
Well, hold on. I thought we were. I mean, I know I'm not the best person to say this, but I thought we were playing it safe on this one a little bit.
Plans change, kiddo. And I am willing to play a card for narrative control on this. If anyone wants to play against me.
Oh my god.
I'll try.
I I think yeah, Mox is
Everyone
gonna
tries.
play against you.
Everyone can play against me for it. It's fine. If everyone wants to try to stop, 100%, everyone can try to stop him. All right, and on 3, because is it just Millie and Mox? Porna, Denise, Porna, Ivan, are any of you interfering with this?
Um, I I don't think so. I think
Okay.
if I'm seeing the other ones intervening, I would stop.
Okay. So we are going to flip on 3. 1, 2, 3. So as an 8, so currently there's an ace of clubs played by Mox, a 10 of clubs played by Melly. Both of them are going to try to, I'm assuming, physically restrain Gold is the plan with that one. So Gold is bigger than both of you, substantially. One of the abilities of my playbook as an 8, the Passionate Protector, is my trumping ability, and trumping is the ability to kind of supersede the usual value of cards in this game. The trumping ability for the Passionate Protector is that if I play an 8, I can trump any card, including fate cards, but I have to discard a card to be able to play them. And I am going to discard the 10 of spades in order to activate my trumping ability. which at that point, um, the two of you kind of get in the way. But again, this isn't the Gold that you guys know. This isn't the affable, you know, you know, anarchist first role model, uh, William Gold. This is the man who earned the moniker the Mauler. And he gives both of you just this chilling and bone setting look that for all of the time that Melly and Mox have been on the streets, how often have they been legitimately afraid for their lives? Legitimately afraid for their lives, thinking they might be in actual danger.
I think maybe once or twice
Once or
for
twice
Mox.
for Melly too.
This is someone you trust, but this gives you the same exact feeling, that chill running down the back of your neck, that pressure of your lungs freezing. It is the acknowledgement that there is a predator in the room that you could not stop. And as Gold walks forward, again, his hand no longer there. It is just this quiet whirring of this aether infused wire causing the monofilament style of the blade for the monomolecular cutting edge. The aether causing it to constantly be resharpening itself as it leaves just this brilliant neon pinstripe thin edge. This is the most intricate thing that Gold has. Um, and what anyone who would know it, probably Denise and probably the individuals who are from the um, Sun Courts. Porno might or might not, depending. Uh, it is stamped with the crest of the shock troopers of the Empire from the war. It is it is a designation of rank and what it is that Gold did during the war. As he walks forward and puts the blade, not quite cutting his neck yet, but the edge of the blade against his neck. Uh, Charlie Whipplesnatch, you have been found guilty against crimes against the city. And with that, he takes his head clean off.
Ooh.
And it is instant. Gold catches the head before it can roll back and just pops it off the body. He looks back at all of you. What you need to understand is men like him would throw each and every one of you under the bus in a moment. What I did was twofold. It is justice for the families that he has harmed, and it is protection for every single person in this room. He would have gone immediately to the authorities, because the reality is him having those blueprints is less of a crime than where those blueprints are going to be going in the eyes of the people in charge of this city. I didn't want you guys to know about this until this moment for a reason. Not because I don't trust you, because I trust you. I do. Each and every one of you in here. But you are innocent still in many ways. of what it is actually going to take to bring change to this city. And all of you have a spark of something that can change this world. And I don't want that extinguished. I will take care of everything from here when it comes to the final affairs of Charlie. None of you have to worry about it. His mother was the last living relative that he had. No one at his work liked him. He will not be missed. We know where the key is. So while I take care of the body, he looks towards everyone else. Why don't all of you go get the key and get the blueprints?
Okay.
You should have just killed him, Goldie. I don't like that you have to have a reason.
Oh, no. He was going to die either way. The reason is for the people here who need there to be a reason. It is an actual reason. I did not make it up. But the reason was not what was important to me. But I'm hoping that it can be a solve to those of you who, and he looks specifically towards Denise, a solve to those of you who need to understand why it happened.
Um, so I think Jade recovers more quickly, or at least starts sort of like stepping back to leave
Rationalizing.
the rationalizing, yeah. Um, and just goes like never turning her back until like the last moment goes, the thing is, boss, who watches the watchman? And like turns around and like
That's what you all are for.
leaves it swiftly.
I don't know if she catches it, but the rest of you would hear him say, that's what the rest of you were for. Go get the documents. I'll take care of everything here. We can talk more about it after we have those documents in hand.
All right.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
But since you made a mess of my place, I think we're even.
Oh, 100%. I'll take care of this, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think after all of it is over, I think that Denise is the last one to leave the place. Uh, she kind of just has been staring at this whole scene happening, and as she started to head out, she like for a moment turns back towards William, and kind of she kind of looks like she wants to say something, but eventually she just turns back and goes with the rest of the party.
So, yeah. All right. Go and get the key. How does that work out for you guys?
Ooh, good question. I mean, see, it's probably getting pretty late and it's been rainy, so I don't know if there would be a lot of people out. Although rain does inspire neighbors to look out of windows, so we should probably have hoods and stuff. Probably not send in a big group.
I mean, I'm assuming that we could have also like taken his keys
Oh
for
yeah,
his house,
Oh,
right?
100%.
oh
Right.
yeah. We can
Yeah.
just walk right in.
Yeah. Do we
Mhm.
have any idea if his house, since he's kind of fancy, if it has like, I don't know, surveillance of some sort?
If there is, it's I don't think if there is any in there, it wasn't something you guys could see from just watching it from the outside.
I mean, once
Got
we're in there, we can look around for any security. I mean, I kind of feel like the security is going to be tighter at his office where he's keeping the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a locker, right? It's in
Yep.
a train station
Oh,
locker.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little more.
And when we get there, don't worry, I know my way around train stations.
Beautiful.
So yeah, this is also a chance for you guys to discuss in character amongst yourselves what just happened in the warehouse.
I don't think Melly has seen somebody die before. I think they've seen people get hurt. I don't think they've seen somebody die. Um, so I think they're pretty shaken, but trying to just like be a good soldier and power through.
I think that is less of a, I mean, rarely a concern of Mox's, and she is just going to be stream of consciousness talking, just like, look, I know, I know he probably had to die. Like a lot of people got to die sometimes, but you know, I don't like the whole you've been found guilty stuff. Like I heard that a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
guilty of a bunch of stuff too. And I mean, I know that like sure, Goldie would probably say that none of the stuff I did was hurting uh, any of the one that we cared about, but like I don't know, it just seems a bit of a not something I want to make judgment calls on. Just kill someone because they need killing. You don't need to be all right about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know how I'd decide somebody deserved it unless it was like real easy, like they blew up a whole mountain.
Mountain?
I don't know, like like a mountain that had people on it, or maybe like a really important, pretty mountain. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, I'll make a note to not blow up any
Like it
mountains.
would have to be a mountain size. Well, I'm not gonna kill you.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah, of course. No, it's. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. Okay? Let's go get this key.
Does Jade have something to say?
Jade is alarmed by the general tone of the conversation. It's like, because it does make her think. She disagrees with what Mock said about like some people need killing and you just should do it. And without considering why they might have to die, but Jade is Jade, not jaded. So
That's a great line.
there's going to be some amount of uh and there's going to be some amount of like this person who is like supposed to be kind of our mentor as we're if we're supposed to be learning how to navigate this system and how to fight against it and it would be naive to think that no one was going to get hurt and that people weren't going to make decisions about who was going to die. But Jade has seen people die, but not in this violent manner. And I think part of her was hoping that she would never have to confront any of the guts and gore of it. And
There was a little bit of
so
naivety with
she's,
that.
yeah.
Was there a little bit of naivety and I can do this without actually
Mhm.
seeing the people get okay.
Because I think it's, I mean, as far as Jade is concerned, like there, I mean, the most she was thinking about the start of the day was like, oh, there's gonna be this intricate way of like tying things together that allows her to make multiple copies of the thing at the same time. She didn't really think about how she was going to witness someone being decapitated as a possibility for the day. So yeah, I think she's shaken, but in like a different way from Melly. Um, where it's not that violence can't happen, but it's confronting the fact that there is a point at which the buck stops, that someone's going to make the decisions about who is going to live or die in the larger scheme of people who decide that someone needs to pay for the injustices of the world. She didn't think it would be someone she actually spoke to.
Is Jade communicating this to Melly and Mox? Or is she keeping it to herself?
That's a good question. Is the pressure of it enough to kind of crack that wall that kind of separates Jade's feelings from how they express?
I think I think what she would actually say to um to the others as they were, and not necessarily to them, but sort of just aloud and in a daze, and like sort of lost in her own thoughts, just be like, this is this is not how today was supposed to go. I don't, what are we doing? And sort of like half finished thoughts that don't like, not the whole, yeah. I think that's what you would hear from Jade.
I think if it's okay, Melly will probably put like a hand on Jade's arm. And go like, hey, I'm sorry. um, I really wish he warned us, at least. Um,
He did. To be fair,
well,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was actually warning.
yeah, maybe a little
maybe
further.
earlier, maybe an earlier warning, not
Yeah,
in the moment.
Look,
but
okay, there was a warning before we even snatched the guy. Look, he showed off the blade while saying there's a way to keep everything quiet about it.
yeah, we didn't think we were gonna have to. But I think Melly says the the rest of it's still gonna go as we planned, and we're just gonna get through it.
I mean,
I think
I know what
Jade,
always I know what always cheers me up is breaking into a place. We can do that. Maybe distract you.
When you say always,
I mean,
what
it
always cheers you
usually
up?
does, I guess.
Do you want to
I don't
watch
know.
Mox wiggle up the chimney? Because after we go in there, we can just send her up the chimney, and meet her on the other side. It'll be pretty cool. That cheers me up is when I see her like wiggling out of chimneys and like grates and the sewer and stuff. Is you know, it's funny.
Oh yeah. Soon I'm gonna be able
Um,
to. I'm still
I
working on it, but soon I'm gonna be able to figure out how to fit down a drain pipe.
Jade is like, hang out with extroverts. They said it'll be fun. They said, and yeah, just like, yeah, sure. Let's watch. Let's watch. Get into a house and then go up a chimney anyway
Break
for
out
some
of it.
reason. That
break
sounds
break out
great.
of the house that you guys have the keys to.
It's, hey, we break in all the time. How often do we break out? It's pretty cool.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Jade vows never to speak aloud ever again.
Oh,
Mox also just like looks at herself and realizes it's like, sorry, kitty, and realizes that she is because she was trying to hold William Gold back. I think she does have like blood on her, and she's like, before we uh, try and go out and walk right in, does anyone have like a moist towelette or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I have it.
Um,
If you need one, I can
All
give
right.
you one.
And is just like takes a little like wet wipe and just like wiping the blood spatter off of her. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
gotta make
I
sure that
think I
I'm
think at that moment is when it finally dawns on Denise that all of us probably have blood on us. Uh,
So actually, actually, if there was any blood on anybody, it would be very minimal because of the kind of cut that it is. The blood would have just pooled down the body. It wouldn't have sprayed everywhere.
yeah, I think it was partly so I guess blood splatter rather than blood spatter, which there is a difference.
There is a difference.
yeah.
And just from like I think Mox was like holding on to Gold's arm at the time, so like was very close.
Yeah, and at that moment, after realizing that all of us probably have a little bit of blood on us, I think I'm gonna start offering to everyone like wipes, so we can try to not be walking to a man's house with blood on our bodies. Uh,
his blood, even.
yeah,
Don't want to get caught red-handed, huh?
So
that's
we have
funny.
10 minutes. We have 10 minutes left. Let's go ahead and go for how we progress in this game, because in this game, in Neon Shadows, progression is done on a session by session basis.
Oh yeah.
So this is time for development. Development is based on how many cards on the kind of cards you have in your hand at the end of your session. It is different for every playbook. So, let's see here. I think everyone but Denise played a card, which is fine. You don't have to not play a card. You progress either way. So by looking at your hand, if you go to the end of your playbook, you will see your progression, what it takes to progress. So for development, there are two options. There's stabilization and disruption. Neither one is bad. They're both just change for your character. So if you look, I will go ahead and do an example for mine. I am going to check on for mine. I have a nine of spades, a two of diamonds, and a five of hearts. So I have three suits, which means I stabilize. When you end the session with cards from at least three different suits in your hand, you've learned to accept the viewpoints of others. And then I get to pick one from a list of different things that I can do. Uh, I am going to take the ability uh, that my leadership is now based off of the desires and inputs of those around you. When you have the option to draw a card, you can instead pull a card from the discard of my choice from the discard pile. So that is going to be something that going forward I am able to do whenever I'm able to draw a card, which includes in cycling, which is the ability which is when you discard and then draw a card. So for me, that is how I am going to be developing William Gold in this instance. And then Melly, if you want to, if Skylar, if you want to have Melly go next.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually had a question.
Sure.
So I only have diamonds in my hand,
Okay.
and my stabilization and disruption conditions are based on hearts and spades. So do I advance?
So okay, if you read them, one of them it'll be a number. It'll be greater than, or less than.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stabilization, when you end the session with at least as many clubs as your hand as hearts. So that is true technically because I have
So yeah, it
zero
is
of
true
those.
because you have zero of both. You have zero of both. So in that instance, you
Gotcha.
stabilize.
That's exciting. So I think for my progression, I am going to pick the move where I can now use aces of hearts and diamonds to trump in physical plays as well.
Perfect. Aaron, how does Moxie develop?
So, since I ended the session with no diamonds, I actually started the session with no diamonds. Um, I've learned to act on my impulsive recklessly, despite the consequences. So, I'm going to pick a struggle from the principled reformer, and I am going to say that I am struggling with morally gray area
That makes
as
perfect
well.
sense after the end of this session. That makes perfect sense. Porna, how does Jade develop?
So I think that for Jade, it's going to be stabilization, and I pick um, I guess a new thing that I have with me, and I tell the group about it.
Yep.
Um, so do I have to pick from the
So
previous list of things?
you'll pick from kind of any option from the two. Pick three. Pick threes. So the choose three that show you that
Mm.
show to others, and then the other pick three, just pick three you hold
Mm-hmm.
close.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just pick a thing from there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I think I think this makes the most sense. So I will say a thing that I pick is a red string to help remember to write my new knowledge down. Um, and it's a red string I think I would just tie around my hand. And whenever whenever I see it, instead of just writing down what I normally would in my notebook, I think I would also make note of anything that triggered my suspicions, because I think Jade would be slightly more paranoid now as a as a as an agent,
Yeah, that's fair.
I think.
Ivan, how does Denise develop?
Uh, so I think for me is stabilization. Because for me it says that when you end the session with at least one heart card in your hand, you have either saved love for yourself or accepted the love given to you by others. And I do have two heart cards in my deck, in my hand. Uh, so I think I'm gonna also pick uh, the one that says pick one new thing you have with you and tell the group about it. uh, and again, it's anything from the from the list of choices that
Yes, it
I
is
can
anything
make,
from that
right?
list of course. Yes, it is anything from that list of choices.
Okay, so I think for her, I think it's gonna be a, let's see, I think it's gonna be a sense that you don't belong, because I feel like she felt very uh
Betrayed.
I guess betray, I mean, in a way she did know that there was gonna be a death in our hands at the end of this, but still she was, in a similar way to Jade, she wasn't expecting it was gonna be like that in that moment. But I think she just feels very uh distant from the group in a way. She feels like she didn't get to play uh she didn't really get to play any part in the whole uh so she just feels like she was a bit unimportant to this whole heist that we did. So she's probably dealing with that.
Makes sense. So, with that left, we have a single minute left. So, we are going to be rating critical misses from here. Real quick, I want to give a big thank you to Nerds with Dice for hosting this for us and this fantastic group of people who I have now traumatized.
Yet, yeah, you have traumatized us.
A lot of
I,
fun.
I yeah, it's hey, I cannot call myself a professional dungeon master if I don't traumatize every table I'm at least once.
It's fair.
Don't yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Gold still loves you. Gold would never hurt you.
Yet.
But
Have
no, again, we're going to be going in. We're going to go straight to a raid over in critical misses, and we will see you guys over there. And then we will see you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye.
to.